Good evening. I'm the Maven of the Eventide, and welcome back to the Vampire Library, home of the Vampire Book Club, where we read books together and stuff, because, you know, reading's a group activity, right? You know, who reads alone? The Vampire Book Club is hosted here on my YouTube channel, which you may not have realized because it is in the live section of my channel. If you go to my channel main page, you'll see all these videos that I've posted, but if you click the tab for live, you will see dozens of book club live streams that have been preserved there for posterity to see all the books that we've read over the past couple of years in Vampire Book Club. The books we read for Vampire Book Club are all, you know, vampire books because, you know, that's the name, but mostly books that people have sent me, that you have sent me, books like these. People send me books all the time because they want to hear my opinions about it. But it's a lot to read alone, so you'll read with me in the book club. That's why I made the book club, so that I would have you to read these books with me. Any books with vampires in it is eligible to be read for the book club. We usually vote as a club each month on which book we want to read that month. The only books that are not eligible is if you send me your book specifically because you want it to be in the book club. I'm not really comfortable with that. It's awkward talking about someone's book to their face in a critical way. Please don't do that. But if you have favorite vampire books that I've never spoken about, that you want to talk about in a group setting, yes, you can send me the book to my P.O. Box, which is in the description, or you could just suggest the book in our Vampire Book Club Discord server, and I will add it to my list. This month, we are reading The Oldest Living Vampire Tells All by Joseph Duncan. It's exactly what it says on the tin, the life story of a 30,000-year-old vampire. This came highly recommended to me by a very good friend of mine, so I am looking forward to reading this with you. To join the book club, join my Discord server. The link is in the description. It is free, it is public, anyone can join. You don't have to read the books that we're reading for book club. You can just lurk or talk about the books with other people who are actually reading them. And then join me on my live stream where I can talk to you in the chat on YouTube and we can talk about these books together. Speaking of books sent to me, look at this. This is the Bite Me book box. It is a quarterly paranormal romance book box that the creators of this box reached out to me and asked if I would like to have one of their boxes, and I am so excited. Sink your teeth into the hottest paranormal romance novels. A vampire romance-themed book club box subscription? Yes! So, it is in here. Oh, look at the inside of this box. Look at that. Share the romance, it says. Shoot a photo and an unboxing video. I guess that's what I'm doing as we speak. Share with your friends on social and be entered to win a free box. Well, I already got my free box, so I won't enter that. But you could if you join up. How do you join this book club? I guess you go to Bite Me Box online and you can join. It is a quarterly book subscription, so you get 4 boxes a year. Got this elegantly sealed with a bat wax seal. Oh, it's swag, an autographed postcard for one of the books. This is a notebook that goes with one of the books. Cute, cute. See everything else that's in there? An art print. This is cute. Spoiler alert, I don't care. Chase after 3 sets of criminals with Margot Bonds Collins' Tessa Fury Bounty Hunter Omnibus. Take down a serial killer and find the Lost Ankh in Tamara Grantham's Harley Sinclair and the Raiders of the Lost Ankh. Oh, that's cute. Board a pirate ship and sail the salty seas with an impulsive witch, a telekinetic captain, and a journey full of danger and romance in Hunt on the Dark Waters by Katie Robert. Show off your Galaxy Wolf enamel pin on your bag, your wall, or your lapel. It's a Galaxy Wolf enamel pin. So pretty. Bite into a decadent handmade salted caramel brownie. Semi-sweet chocolate with a sweet, salty, and gooey caramel. Where is that? Yes, I am going to devour you. Drop this black velvet bath bomb into your next bath. Kick back, relax, and break open a new world with a book, a treat, and some you time. Decorate your work or creative space with our first collectible art print. Yes, this is their first box. This is a brand new book box club. First collectible art print. And learn more about our featured authors on our digital booklet. Just scan this QR code and enter the password Sassy and Strong. and be transported to their fun interviews and a preview of our next quarter's theme. So the theme of this book box is sassy and strong. Here is Hunt on Dark Waters, the pirate book. Harley Sinclair and Raiders of the Lost Ankh. I love it. And the Tessa Fury Omnibus by Margot Bond Collins. Oh, it's got the wolf print. I think we got some werewolves in here. Meet Tessa Fury, accidental bounty hunter of all things supernatural, dangerous, and outside the law. This is a Bite Me Box special edition of these books. The cover, I don't know if you can see it because it's so shiny, but it's got like James Bond kind of caricatures going on here. Intriguing. Bite Me Box sticker. What's in here? At the bottom of the box it says, enjoy your steamy reads. Thank you for supporting our small business and the indie authors who made this box not only possible, but special. And lastly, this is so cute. It's got a little bat on it. It's so pretty. Filigree bat necklace. So pretty. So the Bite Me book box, a brand new vampire-themed quarterly book box. It has books that aren't necessarily always about vampires, but they always paranormal romance and apparently very steamy. Thank you, Bite Me, for sending this to me. Thank you for thinking of me. We're now unofficial parts of the Vampire Book Club, in the Vampire Library, in my vampire petting zoo. This is The Crimson Debt, Community of Blood, Book 1 by Rose Sinister. And if you have not heard of Rose Sinister before, you even a vampire fan at all, she is a tour guide in New Orleans, Louisiana, does tours of all the spooky stuff that goes on in that city. She's also a podcaster about vampire media and an author. This is her very first book. It came out last year, and this year, when I was at the Vampire Ball in New Orleans for Halloween, I got to meet her, and she had this copy of this book to give to me, and she signed it for me. Says, to the Eventide, to the community. There's a community of blood that lurks in the shadows. By the time you realize they've noticed you, it's already too late. Sensible, level-headed Grace Kelly Cordero is on the cusp of 25, and adulthood isn't turning out to be all that great. Her boyfriend has dumped her, her beautiful best friend is a chaotic disaster, and Grace is careening headlong towards a quarter-life crisis. Waking up in a stranger's apartment with fangs and no heartbeat after New Year's Eve party gone wrong was not part of her 5-year plan. What does it mean to keep living when the life you thought you had was torn away forever? Harold Ling has never minded being a vampire. For 200 years, he's welcomed the night and relished the blood. But when a newly turned and traumatized Grace is thrust into his care, Harold will be forced to contend with demons of a long-ago night he thought he'd put behind him. Grace and Harold need each other more than either one of them wants to admit. But if the bloom of their growing attraction is going to survive the night, they're going to have to decide who and what is worth surviving for. Because the vampire who attacked Grace and left her a monster appears to have a brand new target, Grace's best friend Becca. With every passing sunrise, the nights are growing shorter and Grace is running out of time. Lurking behind every potential alien foe, the community watches, and their intervention might lead to Grace's doom. Here's some fun ones that one of you bought for me when you were used book shopping. Thank you. Which Way Books. Number 2, Vampire Spies and Alien Beings by R.G. Austin. Hollywood is an exciting and dangerous place when movies turn into real life. So it's a choose-your-own-adventure book? Yes, I love these. You have won the Grin Toothpaste Sweepstakes, and suddenly you're on your way to Hollywood to see 3 different movies being filmed on location. But on the space movie set, a mysterious explosion has made the special effects machine go haywire, and suddenly the movie is no longer a fantasy. You're living it! The skies flash with colors, your body feels strangely light, and you watch as 3 aliens walk toward you. But if you don't like this movie, there are lots more. A vampire-filled cemetery and a laboratory full of evil scientists plotting to destroy America are waiting for you. So go back to the beginning and choose another movie. There's no telling what kind of adventure is around the corner. Welcome to the world of Which Way Books, where you make things happen. God, these choose your own adventure books were so big when I was a kid. When did this come out? How old is this? 1982. So this was from even before I was born. I may be ancient, but I'm not that old. Books 1 and 2 of the Bloodline series. Book 1 is Matters of the Blood by Maria Lima. Charlaine Harris, author of the books that True Blood are based on, full of more interesting surprises than a candy store. If you thought your family was strange, try being Kira Kelly. A member of a powerful paranormal family, Kira elected to stay among humans in the Texas Hill Country with the rest of the clan moved, lock, stock, and grimoire, to Canada. But family duty means still having to keep an eye on Cousin Marty, a genetic aberration who turned out 100% human, poor guy. And recently, Kira's been having violent dreams, or are they visions, featuring Marty as the victim of a vicious murder. Something sinister seems to be brewing in little Rio Seco. Can Kiera get to the bottom of it all while avoiding entanglement with her former lover, Sheriff Carlton Larson? And what does she plan to do about the irresistible and enigmatic Adam Walker? I'm glad they're not romancing her with her cousin Marty. When this old friend shows up as the new owner of a local ranch and wants to get better acquainted, Kira is more than happy to be welcoming, until she suspects that Adam could be intimately connected to the dangerous goings-on in Rio Seco. Maria Lima weaves a brilliant tale of supernatural power, revenge, and the excitement of newfound love. Forget Transylvania, there's far more supernatural action in Texas now. So, this looks like there's a third book in the series, Matters of the Blood, Blood Bargain, and Blood Kin, which I don't have, but I don't know if the series goes beyond that. I've never heard of this series before. Considering this book also mentions all three books, I'm guessing it's a full trilogy, and this was a reprint that came out after that they put the third book in. This came out in 2006, so too early to have been riding the Twilight bandwagon. Very fortunate, I'm sure, to have been a brand new vampire book right during the vampire boom. Predator and Prey, Vampire. This is a Vampire the Masquerade tie-in book from the Hunter the Reckoning series. Yeah, the Hunter the Reckoning series is not the vampire series, but apparently vampire is their prey in this one. Book 1 of 6 by Carl Bowen. Lost in Eternal Nights. How important is the unlife of a single vampire in the secret war that rages in the final nights? That's what Michael Luther asks himself when his beloved child dies. Child with an E, which means he is a vampire, and that was his vampire spawn. What good is fighting a war when the things you love will inevitably be ripped away? What good is obedience to the traditions when the kindred and the power don't care if you survive or perish? What reward is there continuing to exist when all that made you human is dead? As Michael investigates the circumstances of his child's death and gets drawn into the web of deception and treachery that brought it about, he discovers the answers to these questions, and he discovers that the strongest passion to live on after death is the thirst for vengeance. Predator and Prey, Vampire is the first in a series of 6 books that examines the hunters newly arrived in the world of darkness, and the supernatural foes they have been created to destroy. In the course of the series, the line between hunter and hunted begins to blur. The series continues with Predator and Prey, Judge. I wonder what kind of creature Judge is. Sounds very classic Vampire the Masquerade story to me. Speaking of Vampire the Masquerade, did you know that I have been doing a playthrough series on Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song? And it is done! I have finally finished that playthrough series. It is complete, and you can watch the entire playlist on this channel. If you haven't yet, I put it in a handy-dandy playlist right there for you. Just go to my playlists, a full playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, and you can hear what I thought about that game. Speaking of Charlaine Harris, a paperback copy of Living Dead in Dallas. This is the second book in the Sookie Stackhouse series. I do have a copy of the first book in hardback, and now I have a copy of the second. I have read all these books. I read them all in ebook. I would read them the day they came out. I would download the ebook and just devour it. It's been a while since I read these books, but I really loved them at the time. Always recommend them to people asking if they're good. I like them. If you like some cozy murder mysteries in a small folksy town with sexy vampires. Vampire Plagues, Paris, 1850 by Sebastian Rook. And this is a scholastic book, which means it's probably middle grade. Yeah, it looks middle grade, which means it's for like 8 to 12-year-olds. Reading level 4. An ancient evil, a ritual gone wrong, the vampire plague is threatening like never before. Jack wants to believe it was only a dream, that the vampires are gone, that they've been banished by an ancient ritual that sent their leader to the depths of hell, but he isn't so sure. That voice still echoes in his mind, the voice of a vampire god promising to return. Jack's friend Ben and Emily say it's just his imagination, and he desperately hopes they're right. While Victorian London may be safe, a strange sickness is raging in Paris, a familiar illness that leaves its victims drained of blood. It seems the vampires have moved on, and the fight must follow them. That description makes this sound like it is a sequel to a book that took place in London first. Yep, book 2. I'm guessing the book 1 is probably London 1850 or London 1849, perhaps. Dang, now I can't read this. I gotta read the first book first. I have to read things in order. We always start with the vampire books, but I'm just looking down at the rest of the stuff I have to share with you guys. So, as I mentioned earlier, I went to the vampire ball in New Orleans this Halloween, and there were a lot of other vampire-themed events that I attended while I was there, and I met a lot of my vampire-loving friends while they were there, too. Yes, I do have friends. They live in my phone, except on Halloween. Then we become one with the night in New Orleans. Before I get to that, I do have a few more books to share with you, vampire and otherwise. Sleeping Beauty Vampire Slayer by Maureen McGowan. In this thrilling story full of adventure and romance, Sleeping Beauty is more than just a lonely princess waiting for her prince. She's a brave, tenacious girl who never backs down from a challenge. With vampire-slaying talents that she practices in secret, Sleeping Beauty puts her courage to the test in the dark of night, fighting evil as she searches for a way to break the spell that has cut her off from her family. In a special twist, you will have the opportunity to make key decisions for Sleeping Beauty and decide where she goes next. Another choose-your-own-adventure book! But no matter the choice, the result is a story unlike any fairy tale you've ever read. It looks like it's a sequel to Cinderella Ninja Warrior. Obviously, a takeoff on the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies fad. Came out in 2011, yes, right there, in the height of the vampire boom, kind of just around when everyone was starting to get super sick of vampires. Tons of books try to cash in on the popularity of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies with all kinds of different monsters mashed up with classic stories, and a few of them were vampires. I have some of them. There's Mr. Darcy Vampire, which is terrible. I did not enjoy it. There is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. The movie was much better than the book. A Vampire Christmas Carol. It was okay. It was all right. I don't really remember much. Wasn't memorable. Didn't really stick with me, but I didn't hate it. And my favorite, Fangs, which I did hate. We read this for Vampire Book Club, and I would say it's the worst book that we have ever read in Vampire Book Club. There's also Jane Slayer, which is another famous one out there that I actually don't have. So, you know, the bar is pretty low, Sleeping Beauty Vampire Slayer, and you're a choose-your-own-adventure book, so I'm excited about this one. And right on the tails of Sleeping Beauty Vampire Slayer, we have Wuthering Bites, which is Wuthering Heights, but Heathcliff is a vampire. Yeah, I haven't read this one yet. I put it up for vote for book club, and they did not choose it. They chose Vampire Christmas Carol that time, even though it was July. Heathcliff's love could save her. His thirst could kill her. By Sarah Gray. What if the enigmatic hero of one of our most timeless love stories was part vampire? The answer lies in this haunting retelling of the classic tale of Catherine and Heathcliff, kindred spirits bound by the turbulent and now forbidden passion. He's only part vampire? What does that even mean? When a young orphan named Heathcliff is brought to Wuthering Heights by the manor's owner, Mr. Earnshaw, rumors abound. Yet the truth is more complicated than anyone could guess. Heathcliff's mother was a member of a gypsy band, they used the word, that roamed the English countryside, slaying vampires to keep citizens safe. But his father was a vampire. Now, even as Heathcliff gallantly fights the monsters who roam the moors in order to protect beautiful, spirited Catherine Earnshaw, he is torn by compassion for his victims and by his own dark thirst. Is monsters roaming the moors? Though Catherine loves Heathcliff, she fears the vampire in him and is tempted by the privileged lifestyle their neighbors, the Lintons, enjoy. Forced to choose between wealthy, refined Edgar Linton and the brooding, increasingly dangerous Heathcliff, she makes a fateful decision, and soon Heathcliff, too, must choose between his hunger and the woman he will love for all eternity. So it sounds like it actually follows the plot of Wuthering Heights pretty straightforwardly, the same way Pride and Prejudice and Zombies followed Pride and Prejudice pretty straightforwardly, just with, like, zombie fights interspersed in it, so I wonder if it has the same ending and Kathy dies, or if he, like, turns her into a vampire and they actually get a happy ending for once. Not that they deserve it. They're horrible people. But I love them. How to Date a Vampire by Sophie Collins. Cute. It's got Valentine's-y stuff all over it, but it's all, like, gothic, vampire-y Valentine's-y stuff, like, join the coven, bite me, let this be forever, I heart fangs. Sick of the usual high school guys drooling over the prom princess? Is your love life as silent as the grave? Then aim your sights at the night and find out how to date a vampire. He's smart, he's sexy, and he's waiting to discover someone a little bit different, who's not like the other girls. Lucky for you, this book is packed full of quizzes, charts, and fail-safe advice to show him what's so special about you and to set his pulse, if he had one, racing. Suss out if the guy giving you sleepless nights is a real vamp or a fanged faker. great date ideas that don't involve going for a type O milkshake. Discover how to see into the heart of a guy you can't see in a mirror. With space to write about your own close encounters, plus style advice and beauty tips that are sure to slay him on sight, this is the only guide you'll ever need to spotting a vampire and knocking him undead. Since this is a used book, I wonder if the person who had it before already used it. Yeah, I don't see any marks, so yeah, it's unused. I could use this book and learn how to... Oh, the Vampire Diaries 3. What are these quizzes? Vampire History 101. I wonder if this actually offers good dating advice to adolescents, or if this really is just an entirely a joke thing. I mean, it might be. A lot of this doesn't really look like vampire specific. What he does, he's distracted, constantly charming, but here, there, and everywhere. What it means, the attraction's so strong he's not completely sure he's got it under control, or he has ADHD. Sometimes you can feel him watching you as though he's learning you by heart. What it means, he's captivated and his feelings are growing as he finds out more about you. When you go out, he only has eyes for you. Other days, there are other girls. His laser gaze conceals a roving eye. This vamp finds safety by dating in numbers. You cross paths in class and he's always friendly. You've been out once or twice. It means he likes and feels relaxed around you. I mean, these aren't vampire specific, mostly. He's a semi-stalker, but not much of a talker. He seems to want to get you alone. What it means, nothing good. He's acting like a predator, not a date. So I guess this is decent advice. Oh no, look. It's signed. Some kid gave this to her friend. Oh no, this is so sad. And then her friend never used it. And, oh no, wait, her friend did use it. I see some stuff in here erased. Oh no, she started using it and then she erased it. Oh, I feel kind of like I'm violating her privacy now. She wrote a note to her friend, to one of my dearest and bestest friends who has always been there for me. Thanks, love, Carmen. Love you, girl. Miss you. P.S. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rule forever. They do. They do rule forever. How old is this? Are these like the ancient texts? Guessing post-Twilight. 2009. Oh, and it's British. This is a British book. Uninvited by Amanda Marone. He'll enter at her own risk. When rejection comes back to bite you. Jordan's life sucks. Her boyfriend Michael dumped her, slept his way through half the student body, and then killed himself. But now, somehow, he appears at her window every night begging her to let him in. Jordan can't understand why he wants her, but she feels her resistance wearing down. After all, her life, once a broken record of boring parties, meaningless hookups, and friends she couldn't relate to, now consists of her drinking alone in her room as she waits for the sun to go down. Michael needs to be invited in before he can enter. All Jordan has to do is say the words. It's from 2007. I guess this is a young adult book, but since she's drinking and stuff, I'm guessing she's a college student, and the student body is a college. Do you think she's going to let him in? She's going to let him in. To her heart. Again, apparently. Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. This is a brand new book. It just came out. And Claire McIntosh says it's Where the Crawdads Sing meets Twilight meets Thelma and Louise in this brilliantly realized, totally original thriller. Ashley Winstead is a well-established author. A killer haunts a small southern town, and two outcasts, the preacher's daughter and the boy from the wrong side of the tracks, hold the key to uncovering the truth. For fans of verity and a flicker in the dark, Midnight is the Darkest Hour is a twisted tale of murder, obsessive love, and the beastly urges that lie dormant within all of us, even the God-fearing folk of Bottom Springs, Louisiana. In her small hometown, librarian Ruth Coroner has always felt like an outsider, even as her beloved father rains fire and brimstone warnings from the pulpit at Holy Fire Baptist. Unfortunately for Ruth, the only things the townspeople feel more than God and the devil are myths that haunt the area, like the story of the Low Man, a vampiric figure said to steal into sinners' bedrooms and kill them on moonless nights. When a skull is found deep in the swamp next to mysterious carved symbols, Bottom Springs is thrown into an uproar, and Ruth realizes only she and Everett, an old friend with a dark past, have the power to comb the town's secret underbelly in search of true evil. It's an examination of the ways we expect love, religion, and stories to save us, the lengths we have to go in order to take back power, and the monstrous work of being a girl in this world. It is monstrous work. I was once a girl in this world. Used copy of The Vampire Gallery, Who's Who of the Undead by J. Gordon Melton. who's the author of the best-selling The Vampire book, which I have, and I have shown you before, which is also kind of a who's who of the undead. I guess this one just focuses on characters, whereas the vampire book focuses on like all kinds of vampire topics. Night falls, nocturnal creatures arise. Some we admire, some we despise. Oh, it's poetry. Intriguing profiles on famous vampires since the 18th century. You won't find our Nick at Night on any kids show. Nick Knight from Forever Night, I'm assuming, but Nick at Night on any kids show. What you will find is detailed biographies on major fictional vampires who fascinated us, mere mortals, for the last 3 centuries. Within the pages of the Vampire Gallery, the scary and sometimes sexy undead become truly alive. A eulogy for the undead. Written by vampire expert J. Gordon Melton, author of the best-selling The Vampire Book, recently voted the best nonfiction vampire book of the century. How recent is recently? I mean, the Vampire Book is good, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times, especially when I was in the early years of making vampire reviews, I would go to it and look to see what it said about whatever movie I was reviewing, and it wouldn't really say much at all. It was mostly just like, this movie exists. There were a few essays in there that were like critical analysis, but a lot of them I didn't even really agree with, so, you know, take it as it is. It's not for everyone. The Vampire Book came out in 1997, so this came out in 1998. Then how come I saw Edward in here? Edward was like the first under E. Who's Edward if it's not Edward Cullen? I keep going past and seeing all these Anne Rice vampire names like Gabrielle, Cayman. Love it. Edward is one of the main vampires in the role-playing game Vampire the Masquerade and the Prince of the Vampire community in Denver. Wow. Okay. Not the Edward I was thinking of. The Vampire Gallery explores the evolving image of the vampire and how it's contributed to the larger dramatic myth first captured in Bram Stoker's turn-of-the-century masterpiece, Dracula. Was it really? Was that really when it was first captured? No, it wasn't. We all know this. Carmela and Lord Ruthven never get any credit. These dark and immortal souls are drawn from literature, film, theater, poetry, and graphic novels, and include historical figures who've been treated as vampires later in fiction. I'm guessing Elizabeth Bathory is in here. Probably Vlad III is in here. Among the legions of the undead, you'll uncover Angel, the vampire with the tortured soul in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Barnabas Collins of the TV series Dark Shadows, Count Dracula from Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, Nick Knight, lead character of the cult favorite TV show Forever Night, Lestat de Liancourt from Anne Rice's novel Interview with the Vampire, Lord Ruthven, lead character in Vampire, the first vampire short story. You just said Dracula was the first. Make up your mind. You should know better. You're a vampire expert. Graf Orlok from Nosferatu, the earliest film based on Dracula. I don't know. Maybe he didn't write his own back cover copy. Sometimes authors don't get to do that, and it's done by the publishing house. I never knew this guy had a second vampire encyclopedia, so now I have both. Thank you for sending this to me. This is a pop-up book. I love pop-up books. Nightmare Hotel, Danger, spooky pop-up book by Alex Henry and Ange Vistem. Spooky pop-up book. It's The Invisible Man. Oh, is it a monster mash? I love a monster mash. It's a coffin. Oh, empty coffin. Is there no vampire in this coffin? Oh, there's a skeleton in the coffin. It's a birthday skeleton. Sorry, this is so shiny. Some gremlins dusting the furniture. Skeleton dinner party! Oh, there's our vampire. His ears flapped. He's flossing his ears with some string that has bats on it. And here's the, like, sign-up book. Oh, is this lightning? Lightning in the windows? Yes. Concierge Vladimir, in quotes, has been assisting guests like you for over 200 years. Way to go, Vladimir. Party! Oh, look, these guys are vampires. Yeah. Love pop-up books. Thank you for sending this to me. Nightmare Hotel. Hotel Transylvania. When did this come out? Like, did Hotel Transylvania steal this idea? 1997. Dracula and the Dentist. Another pop-up book. Petrifying Pop-Ups. Written and illustrated by John Patience. This is a very small book, so I think it only has a few pages. Ah, it's his castle. Cute. Oh, Dracula has a toothache. Dracula can't eat his soup. I'm guessing it's a bowl full of piping hot blood Igor has there. Oh, Dracula has to go to the dentist. How humiliating. Now he's happy. Oh no, he's not happy. It looks like he pulled out his fangs entirely. He's crawling down the wall with like, oh, no fangs. They're here in a glass of water. Dentures. Poor Dracula. Yep, he got false teeth and he forgot them at home. So he can't bite any necks tonight. This cat is laughing at him. Well, it's part of a series. There's Witches Spell Trouble, Monsters Don't Eat Pizza, and Party on Spooky Streets. It's Dracula Daily! Have you heard of Dracula Daily? Oh, look how pretty these end papers are. So Dracula Daily was an internet thing that started last year and then got done again this year where, okay, Dracula is a book that's written in epistolary form. So it's got letters, diary entries, newspaper articles and stuff, but they're kind of mixed up in the original Dracula book. They aren't all exactly in order. So what Dracula Daily did was it rearranged them all, put them exactly in order, and then it would email them to you on the day that's dated on the diary entry or whatever. Because Dracula takes place over the course of like several months. So you can therefore spend part of your year slowly reading Dracula in order. And after the very success of it, I guess they decided to do a print version of it. So now you can have a print version of, you know, emails from your good friend Jonathan Harker. And it looks like it's annotated. And, oh, it's annotated with people's comments when they were responding to it and like memes and stuff. Oh, I love it. People's fan art. Oh, this is so cute. An old story about the undead is getting new life, says NPR. While at home in 2020, reading Bram Stoker's Dracula with his family, Matt Kirkland realized that every part of the classic novel included a date. Why not put them all in order and send them out by email on the corresponding day? The resulting Dracula Daily newsletter has since grown to 250,000 subscribers, with Dracula memes and commentary trending on social media and leading to what many sites called the coolest book club on the internet. Well, you know what? Maybe it was. As another vampire book club, I think we could be the second coolest book club on the internet. If I say you're cool, then you are cool. This deluxe hardcover volume includes the remix text of the original book, along with humorous chapter headers and a curated selection of the funniest memes, wittiest commentary, and best fan art selected from Dracula Daily readers. Both Dracula newbies and vampire scholars alike will enjoy sinking their teeth into this freshly reanimated classic. I'm glad what he was doing as his pandemic hobby wound up actually making him some money. Dracula Magazine, you know, one of those like grocery store magazines. The story of Dracula, the book, the stage, the big screen. It doesn't really say who made this magazine. It's got a 360 Media special, so I guess 360 Media is the company, but I've never heard of them. So shiny. Ooh. It's probably one of those things that they put out on magazine racks in grocery stores around Halloween just to try to like make money off of people like me. Though I didn't buy this. You bought this and you sent it to me. Contents. Introduction. Chapter 1. Dawn of the Undead. From Bram Stoker's imagination came one of the most enduring horror characters. Chapter 2. Beyond the book, the power of Dracula grew exponentially on stage and screen. Chapter 3. The legend grows. Over time, Dracula became an integral part of the first cinematic universe. I love how they're calling Universal Monsters the first cinematic universe. Yes. Yes. Fresh blood. New interpretations of Count Dracula brought both chills and chuckles. Reel to reel, as Dracula endured, fiction and fact came together. I guess that's when people started headcanoning Vlad III to have actually been Dracula, or who Bram Stoker thought was actually supposed to be Dracula in his book, which he didn't. He never intended Dracula to be Vlad III. He was just inspired by Vlad III and all the other people named Dracula at the time because the name meant son of the devil, and he thought that was a cool name. At least that's what he thought it meant. That's what he wrote down it meant in his books. The Dracula in his book was never supposed to be an actual historical figure. No. Undead evolution. Dracula's appeal and marketability extended to audiences of all ages. The vampire bites back. Through retellings, reevaluation, and extensions to his story, Dracula has evolved. Epilogue. Wow, this sounds like a very thorough scholarship on Dracula, but I'm wondering, because it is a cash grab magazine, how much of it... Oh, hey, there's Dacre Stoker. You know him. He was here on our channel. Yay. But how much of it is just taken straight from other books that we already have on Dracula's scholarship? I wonder. Oh! The Witching Hour is here, The Haunted Clock of Horrors by sci-fi artist Dave Atkins. I want a Haunted Clock of Horrors. Let's see, we got Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and Mummy on here. Where do we get the Haunted Clock of Horrors? You send away for it from the Hamilton collection. It's to be reserved. It hasn't been released yet. Oh, it's Speaking of grocery store magazines, I also got Life's Mummies book. As I've shared with you before, I have several of the Life magazine special editions. There is, of course, the vampires one, not specifically about Dracula, but about vampires. And then there is the specifically Frankenstein one for the 200th anniversary of Frankenstein. I also have the Sherlock Holmes one. And then this one is the world's most haunted places, creepy, ghostly, and notorious sites. And then, you know, of course, it's going to have Bran Castle on there, the Dracula tourist stop in Romania. Yes, mummies. I will now add that to my Life magazine monsters collection. The Mummies Among Us. Creatures in the crypt, the afterlife and beyond, enchantment, horror, immortality. Yeah, the reason there aren't that many mummies left in the world is because we ate them all. Yeah, white people in England really liked eating mummies because they thought it would, like, cure their ills. Cannibalism. They'd, like, grind up bits of mummies into mummy powder and then, like, make tea out of it. Yeah, when the British Museum is stealing artifacts from other cultures, you can't be forced to give them back if you eat them. I'm so excited about this. I've been seeing this around for a while. This is Carmela, the First Vampire by Amy Chu and Sue Lee. It is a beautiful graphic novel of a modernized Carmela retelling. Yes. Oh, so pretty. Ooh, sexy. There is a lesbian sex scene in here, as there should be. This is Carmela. Before Dracula, before Nosferatu, there was Carmela. Set in 1996, the year of the rat, an idealistic Chinese-American social worker turns detective when she discovers young homeless LGBTQ women are being murdered, and no one, especially the police, seem to care. A series of clues point her to Carmela's, a mysterious nightclub in the heart of Manhattan's Chinatown. There, she falls for the next likely target, landing her at the center of a real-life horror story and face-to-face with questions about herself, her life, and fateful family secrets. Inspired by the Gothic novel that started a genre. Yes, that is right. Carmela is the Gothic novel that started the genre, not Dracula. We can't say that Lord Ruthven and Polydori's The Vampire with a Y is the Gothic novel that started the genre because it's not a novel. It is a short story. And Carmela even is like barely a novel, like barely counts as a novel. It's more of a novelette. But, you know, it did start the genre before Dracula ever did. Bram Stoker was directly inspired by Carmela, and he always admitted that. Look what it is! You guys know what this is, right? I know what this is. This is the Easton Press limited special edition Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, illustrated by Mark Edward Geyer. It is leather-bound, gilt edges. If you are familiar with Easton Press books, you will know that they are extremely expensive. This is a limited edition. It is going away soon. If you don't get it now, then you're going to have to look out for it used somewhere. I do have a small collection of Easton Press books that I have found used in places. This is Les Miserables. So chunky. Some Edgar Allan Poe, Tales of Mystery Imagination, and Jane Eyre. These ones weren't even out of the plastic, which is how they come. So whoever bought these from Easton Press and then sold them to the used bookstore never even opened them. And that probably happened because they died. That happens a lot with book collections. When someone dies, their next of kin will just sell them to a used bookstore. They're mine now. Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And of course, Wuthering Heights, personal favorite. But none of those are illustrated. Interview with the Vampire is illustrated. And huge, which makes it even more expensive. Look, it's Claudia stabbing Lestat. Oh, this is a precious prize of a book. Oh. Merry Christmas to me. Certificate of authenticity. Doesn't say how many editions they were. It was limited, but it doesn't say like what number out of what number this was. It's been out for a couple of years now, and that's almost over. It's going away. So if you have a lot of money and you want to buy one and do it, well, you can, I guess. I always regret not having ever bought their version of the Phantom of the Opera that was out in the 90s. I have the one that came out a few years ago. I do have that one, and it is illustrated and gorgeous. So I'm very happy to have this now. I love Anne Rice. It was the anniversary of Anne Rice's death a few days ago, earlier this week as I am filming this video. I don't know when you're actually going to watch it. Yeah, 2 years. 2 years since she's been gone. Miss you, Mom. Got some new DVDs you sent me. These look like used library copies. Not this one. Maybe this one. This is The Mortal Instruments City of Bones, which does have vampires in it. The vampires don't really have much personality or part of the plot. They're just kind of there to be scary for part of it. I did see this movie back when it was theaters, but I haven't read the book. It's been a while. I know they made a TV show out of this series as well, and maybe the vampires were more prominent in that. And I think they come in more in like later books in the series, just not in the first one, which this one is based off of. But it does have vampires. Vampirifica from the Springfield Greene County Library District in Springfield, Missouri. The Vampire King has returned. He looks like the Joker, kind of. The King of Vampires has been born again, and this time he is a bitter, flamboyant college student with abandonment issues and a foul mouth. When Carmen learns that he is in fact the most important bloodsucker of them all, he uses his power to destroy all of his bullies. But his violent and aloof attitude has his friend Tracy and Peter seriously worried. The other vampires are concerned too. Carmen's public killings are drawing negative attention to their race, which is already on the brink of extinction. Can Carmen sink his teeth into the new role without disrupting the world around him? So this is a high school movie? He's got bullies and they call him a student. High school or college, I guess. I don't know why you would have bullies in college. Came out in 2014, so high school vampires were definitely in, or not in anymore, but they had been in, and this movie was probably still trying to make money off of that. You were too late, movie. That's why no one remembers you. 2014 was too late. People were already well sick of vampires by then. Aren't you so glad we're not sick of vampires anymore? Vampires are cool again. I feel so cool. Then we have The Color Out of Space, which isn't a vampire movie, but is H.P. Lovecraft, and this is one of my favorite of H.P. Lovecraft stories. I love The Color Out of Space. I've never seen this movie. It has Nicolas Cage in it. After a meteorite lands in the front yard of their farm, Nathan Gardner, played by Nicolas Cage, and his family find themselves battling a mutant extraterrestrial organism as it infects their minds and bodies, transforming their quiet rural life into a living nightmare. Gorgeous, vibrant, and terrifying. This came out in 2019. Wow, that's a lot more recent than I expected it. This looks like a very old DVD. I guess it just had a rough life at the library. Though considering how old Nicolas Cage looks here, he did not look that old in Renfield that came out earlier this year when he was playing Dracula. He looked, immortally plastic. He's got like a Harrison Ford thing going on here. Got a few more books that aren't vampire books, but I will go through them before we get to the things, the vampire things. So this is a matching set of beautiful books. You have Jane Eyre, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Wuthering Heights. I love matching sets of beautiful books. But of course, now I'm going to have to get Dracula and Frankenstein and Edgar Allan Poe and Jekyll and Hyde and all those other Gothic books to go with this. How many matching sets of Gothic books do I need? All of them. Speaking of The Picture of Dorian Gray, I also got The Picture of Dorian Gray, sent to me by the same person who sent me this one, actually. This is a beautiful illustrated edition. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Love this. These paintings, like things Basil could have painted. Ooh, this is a drawing. That's interesting. There's all kinds of very different styles here. I wonder if they're all illustrated by the same person. Featuring art by renowned illustrators, including Henry Keane and the mysterious Madame Majeska, this beautiful edition brings the true horror of Dorian's corruption to life. Okay, so multiple illustrations. The cover is Henry Keane. The others, they look like it. They might just be public domain art also, not specifically made, like, yeah, this is public domain art. This is not specifically made for Dorian Gray, but I guess it does fit the mood. You know, crying Satan. Satan with a soul, with feelings. It's kind of Dorian. I feel like Satan has more of a soul and feelings than Dorian does. So yeah, these two are sent to me by the same person who has previously sent me other copies of Dorian Gray. How many copies of Dorian Gray do I even have now? Enough? Do you think it's enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 copies of Dorian Gray, 7 of which were sent to me by the same person. Thank you, sir. You have greatly added to my Dorian Gray. I guess I'm a Dorian Gray book collector now. 2 nonfiction books about Anne Rice. This is Prism of the Night, a biography by Catherine Ramsland, who worked very closely with Anne Rice and did a lot of books about her work. She did The Vampire Companion and The Witch's Companion, and she was on the podcast for the new Interview with the Vampire TV show. She's just like known as the world's expert on Anne Rice up to a certain point. Like, all of her works, oh, there's Catherine Ramsland. All of her works were from, like through the 90s, I guess. I don't know of anything she's done about Anne Rice's later life. This book came out in 1991. And besides just being a biography, it does have a lot of like interviews and stuff with her. Speaking of interviews, this is Anne Rice, The Interviews, a compilation of interviews with the iconic author on everything from the writing process to her extraordinary life, compiled by Nola Cancel. It's interesting. Anne Rice notoriously did not like being interviewed because she was afraid that she would be misquoted. More than 3 years ago, I began a unique author-interviewer relationship with New York Times bestselling novelist Anne Rice. In that time, I've asked hundreds of questions, and I have received some of the most honest, passionate, and intelligent answers from Miss Rice on varied subjects such as independent publishers, the vampire genre, and faith and religion. The portrait of the woman behind the world-famous author shines with lustrous clarity through our many exchanges and provides a unique perspective into the life of one of the most popular literary figures in modern history. It was and is my pleasure to talk to her, learn more about her, and introduce the author to her readers in a different way. So I guess these are actually all interviews done by Nola Cancel. This isn't a compilation of interviews, which is what I thought it was, like someone just got all her interviews from different sources. She was interviewed, like on TV and stuff. There's plenty of interviews that you can watch on YouTube. And in some written places, but I guess this was the one person she did trust not to misquote her. I've been very interested in Anne Rice's life lately. When I was in New Orleans for the Vampire Ball, I went to Tulane University, where her papers, all of her papers, diaries, book drafts, and everything were sold to Tulane University after she died, and they're there publicly available for you to go in and read. It is a very strictly controlled reading environment. You are supervised the entire time. It's a very limited time frame. You have to make an advance appointment, but they're there for you to read. And this was by her wishes, so it's not weird that I'm going in there and reading about like her headaches on July 2nd, 1998. She gave it to the people. So yeah, while I was there, I took 6 friends because there's 7 reading tables available at Tulane University Special Collections Reading Room, and I booked all 7 tables with my 6 friends, and you're allowed to check out 5 items per person. And there's hundreds of items in the Anne Rice collection of all her papers and documents and diaries. But we just focused on the ones about Vampire Chronicles because vampires were why we were there. And there were 7 of us, so 5 items per person. We got 35 items. And the items weren't just like a single diary, but like a box with like 4 diaries in it. You know, they were little boxes. So we got to read a lot of her stuff. We took a bunch of pictures to read later because there's no way you could read it all while I was there. And I still haven't had the chance to go back through the pictures I took. I took almost 2,000 pictures of pages of things that I wanted to go back and read again later. And it's just fascinating, amazing stuff. I found scenes that she wrote between Louis and Lestat that never made it into the final books. There's ideas for drafts that she then later completely scrapped. Like one was that instead of Victor being Lestat's clone and made from Lestat's DNA, but carried in a woman who essentially considers her mother, even though he doesn't have any of this mother's DNA in him. Before she had that idea, she had the idea that the scientists, instead of cloning Lestat, were going to take an egg from his mother, Gabrielle, and combine it with Lestat's sperm and make the child that way and put it in a surrogate. And apparently she decided that wasn't a good idea and she went with a complete clone instead. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't call that incest because they're not actually touching each other. They probably weren't even in the same room at the same time, but the child would be a product of incest, which might mean it would have those birth defects in kind of a royal family way. Potentially, I don't know. If it's the first generation, is it still as bad? She decided not to go there. Not that incest is a taboo topic in her writing at all. I mean, incest is kind of a basis for American Gothic literature, like back to Edgar Allan Poe. It's always been there in the American Gothic. And her Mayfair Witches trilogy is actually the entire magic system of the witches is based on incest. So, what? Incest in my Gothic novels? I never. You've all seen Crimson Peak, right? It's part of the genre. Did you know there's also killing and mean people? No, I do not condone incest in real life. Gothic fiction is dark and full of terrors. Speaking of which, I have a copy of Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death. It's such a cute, tiny book. Most of Edgar Allan Poe's stories are pretty short. That's why they're always put in collections. You don't get them in single editions. But this one is a single edition. It's tiny. I love tiny little books. Cloth cover. Oh, this is cute. This is an I Can Read book, Spooky Tricks, by Rose Weiler and Gerald Ames. Pictures by Talavati Stubis. This was sent to me by the person who sent me those other used books for my fledgling spawn, which I will give to them when I'm done showing it to you. It's a learning how to read book. One of my Spawn already knows how to read, the other does not yet, so this will be a good one for her to learn reading with. Stardom Young. This is Gothic adjacent. I wouldn't call this a Gothic graphic novel, but it does feature a goth as the main character. So this goth character is having a romance with a mermaid. It's not really a Little Mermaid tale. I guess it kind of is, because the mermaid does become human and does lose her voice. So yeah, it is a Little Mermaid tale. But, you know, a lesbian one and a modernized one. But it's from the human's perspective, and her plot is mostly to do with her abusive boyfriend and navigating her self-worth in her relationship with him versus her relationship with the mermaid. And, you know, of course, she and the mermaid fall in love. But I love this artist. This is by Jesse Sharon, who's the writer and artist of this. And this used to be a webcomic. The CNU used to be available for free to read online. In fact, it might still be, but this published version is so impressive. By Iron Circus Comics. It came out in 2022, just last year. I've actually had it for a while now, but I just forgot to share it with you, and I'm glad I finally remembered. 15-year-old Corinth was just trying to clean up the beach. She never expected to meet a mermaid. After the deadly fanged mermaid Scylla mysteriously lets Corinth live, they grow closer through a curious exchange of stories, gifts, and sign language. Mermaids, it turns out, eat people. But however terrifying Scylla may look, she's a bit younger, a little bit smaller, and perhaps a little too soft for all that. Bewitched by Corinth and their growing bond, Scylla learns all about the best things in life on land: books, burgers, and this strange human sound called laughter. But a storm is brewing, both at sea and in Corinth's dangerous relationship with her jealous boyfriend. A magical bargain may be the only thing that can save them both, paid at a tremendous cost. The tremendous cost is losing her voice. It's very sweet and romantic. And super gay. Besides Corinth being a goth, her boyfriend is also a goth and in a band. So goth kids having goth kid problems in high school with mermaids. Louis, Claudia, you're napping on the job? This is so random. This is a game from 2002 by Hasbro. Vampire Hunter, the game. The game transforms right before your eyes. Villager by day, werewolf by night. What you see in the day turns frightful at night. So I guess it's like a color-changing game? Oh, so it's a glow-in-the-dark game. So you may be safe during the day, but one flick of the light and you're on a trap. For centuries, brave hunters have tried to destroy the master vampire. So far, no one has succeeded. Now it's your turn to try. Turn out the lights and become a part of the legend. As you creep toward the crypt and battle the unknown, the tower light will mysteriously transform your path. Oh, so when the tower light comes on, it's probably like a black light or something, and then you can see the traps. Beware of the eerie blue glow of night. When villagers become werewolves, a secret passageway turns into a trap, and vampires appear out of thin air. Hope for the red rays of day when you may move safely around the game board to gather the weapons you need to battle the minions. Okay, so it's like those 3D glasses, or those like secret decoder glasses they used to have in the 90s where one eye was red and one eye was blue, but this one is just a red light and a blue light. Your time is limited, so you must hunt in a hurry. If the master's ship reaches him before you do, he'll escape and you'll be left in the dark. Game must be played in a dimly lit room. Well, we don't have any problem with that here, do we? Ages 9 and up for 2 to 4 players. The World of Frankenstein Jigsaw Puzzle, yes! I love it. This art is so cool. And this isn't even all of it. It's this giant jigsaw puzzle of like the entire story of Frankenstein kind of laid out over physical space. And this goes with my World of Dracula Jigsaw Puzzle. They're both by Adam Simpson. What a guy. 1,000 pieces. I love it. Oh, this one just came out in 2022. This one's new. Yeah, this one was 2021. I know there's also a World of Agatha Christie one that he's done. Less gothic than Frankenstein and Dracula, but we do love Agatha Christie too. Anything with murder in it. Now, this looks super cool. Funkoverse strategy game, Funko Pops, of the Universal Monsters, the black and white silver screen edition. They don't have any color. It looks like the monsters are your playing pieces. We have the Creature from the Black Lagoon, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Invisible Man. Nice. It's a good assortment. Of course, it had to have Dracula in there. Face off in the ultimate pop battle. Combine your favorite characters and go head-to-head in 4 exciting game scenarios. Move through memorable locations, Dracula's castle and Frankenstein's lab, and use your character's unique abilities to capture points and achieve victory. Victory of what? What are we victorying over? Play as a standalone game or mix with other Funkoverse games. Oh, I guess there are other Funkoverse games that aren't monsters. If there were more monsters, if there were monster expansion packs, if I could get Frankenstein himself and the Mummy and the Phantom of the Opera, that's the one I really want. Yeah. featuring a Dracula game piece, which looks like a die. I don't know what makes it Dracula other than that it's red. Of course, he gets the most attention. Speaking of the Phantom of the Opera, this is something I've been so excited about. So targeted advertising on Facebook really targeted me about this, and I've been seeing this everywhere. But it was something that was in China, and like to get it shipped to America was like $75 to get it shipped to America. And I was like, oh. But it finally became available for shipping from China, but only for $5. And they are blind boxes. So they look like this. You don't know what's in there. There are 9 options. Well, 10 options, really. You open it by pulling this tab. And the 9 options that are available are Frankenstein, Van Helsing, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Phantom of the Opera, The Invisible Man, The Mummy, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman. But then there's a secret bonus option, which the website tells you is Jekyll and Hyde, or just Hyde, I guess. So if you want to guarantee to get the Phantom of the Opera, you can either buy these individually and keep opening them and keep hoping you get the Phantom or Dracula, the 2 I like super actually cared about, or you could buy all 9, and this was guaranteed to have no repeats. But if I was one of the people who got the mystery piece replacing one of my 9, and if it replaced the Phantom or Dracula, I was going to be really sad. So as soon as I got this, I ripped it open and I went through every box. And I found the Phantom as like the 6th box, and I was very relieved. And this is the last box that I haven't opened yet. I started pulling the tab, but then I was like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to do that. So the only one that I haven't gotten that's on here yet is Dracula. So I opened 8 boxes, and none of them were Dracula. They were all these other characters, Frankenstein, all the others. So this is going to either be Dracula or the mystery mystery figure, which is Jekyll and Hyde. And as cool as it would be to get the surprise mystery figure, I wanted Dracula. He's like half the reason I bought this box. The other half being the Phantom of the Opera. So what these are is even though this is still in the bag, I haven't opened the bag yet. I know what it is because it came with a card. This is the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And these characters are like in a movie theater watching movies because, you know, they're all from movies. Open him up. Here's my creature, and he's sitting. He's got a can of sardines as his movie snack. Each of them comes with a movie snack. Some of them are detachable that they can put in their hands or not, and some of them are just attached to them, like his can of sardines. And they come with a theater seat, so you can sit and watch the movies. It's a Creature from the Black Lagoon. Isn't he so cute? And the Phantom of the Opera, the one that I was most excited about. Yes. Oh, look at him. He's so emotionally tortured. He very much has the Gerard Butler face situation going on here. Even though these are Universal monsters, they didn't focus on Lon Chaney or Claude Rains or the Universal phantoms that we know. They focus on Gerard Butler. One of my least favorite phantoms. His seat has the Phantom of the Opera logo on it, and it specifically says 1943. That is Claude Rains. Claude Rains did sort of have a partial deformity, not a full face deformity, but he didn't wear this Gerard Butler frilly shirt. He didn't have this fabulous hair. He wasn't young and pretty. He was dad age. This thing the Phantom does come with. Comes with a mask. You can put on him. Just wear your mask, Eric. Hide your hideousness. And he doesn't come with a movie snack like the others come with. He comes with a tiny little rose that you can put in his tortured soul hand. I guess it's hard to eat with a mask on, so he just holds his rose and cries. I wonder what movie they're watching that he's crying and everyone else looks kind of angry about. Okay, so moment of truth. Who are we going to be? Is it going to be Dracula, or is it going to be the mystery figure, the Jekyll and Hyde? Should I look at the card first, or should I just open it? You can't answer me. I don't want to see it. I have to be the last one I opened. Okay, I'm not going to look at the card. I'm going to open it without looking at the card. The card is still in there. We have... It's Dracula! Yes. Thank you. Thank you, merchandise gods. He's got his little chair, and his snack is a goblet full of blood. He looks so bored with this movie. He is so not here for this movie. That is making Eric over here cry. I'm just crying because I'm blocking your view of the screen, Eric. I love these little guys. Oh, he's even sitting on his cape. I love how his cape folds under his seat. Of course, it has Dracula 1931. That's Bela Lugosi classic on the back. Though he doesn't really look like that Dracula at all. So I guess there's just a lot of artistic liberties with how they made the characters look based on the Universal Monsters cinematic universe, as we've known to call it. There's certain movies that are actually included in the cinematic universe. For instance, they include both Phantom 1925 and Phantom 1943. You will see both versions in the Universal Monsters lineup, and this one is supposedly going with 1943, I guess because if they said 25, people would definitely be like, that's not Lon Chaney, but no one else knows what the 1943 Phantom looks like because casuals. Oh, guys, I'm so happy that it was Dracula and not Jekyll and Hyde. Like, I would have been happy to get Jekyll and Hyde if it was instead of, like, The Mummy or The Invisible Man or someone that I'm not that into, but I needed these two. These were the two that I sent all the way to China for, so. Speaking of Funko Pops, do you remember last time when I showed you the Louis and Claudia Funko Pops from Interview with the Vampire, and I told you that they will never make a Lestat Funko Pop because Tom Cruise refuses to have merchandise made of any character he's played. So Warner Brothers, which issued these Funko Pops, is not allowed to make a Lestat Funko Pop. Well, I said at the time that I would never have a Lestat Funko Pop and would never own one. But look what came in the mail. This is a custom hand-painted Funko Pop that someone on Etsy made. They took another Funko Pop and repainted it to look Lestat. But look at how exactly he looks like he's got the same veins on his face and the same pattern. The outfit works great for him. It's a little pirateier than what he wears, but you know what? That's fine. Lestat could be piratey. I love it. Thank you. I don't know what Etsy store it came from or anything. So if you want to find it, I guess just go on Etsy and look for Lestat custom Funko Pops. But yay, now my little murder family is complete. Watch it with that scythe, Louis. Speaking of Interview with the Vampire, I showed you a lot of clothes that I got from the Hot Topic Interview with the Vampire collection last time we spoke. This jacket being one of them. You see it says Louis Claudia Lestat in the little coffins, and it's got the Interview with the Vampire logo on the lining, and it came with this little bat pin, just kind of frock coat, and then it has this lacy skirt under it, so it's like a long flowing coat with this like waistcoat top. I think it's very cool. But the one that I didn't have at the time was this sweatshirt, which my friend gave me when I was in New Orleans. So now I have the full collection of the Interview with the Vampire WB merchandise from Hot Topic, except for the girl dress that looks like Claudia's dress, and the girl's shirt is like a tank top corset shirt, which, you know, I don't mess with. It's not a real corset. So warm and cozy. But if you thought Hot Topic was the only place that WB was selling Vampire Chronicles related merchandise, you would be wrong! Besides making a merchandise deal with Hot Topic for all the Interview with the Vampire film merchandise in honor of the film's 30th anniversary coming up next year, they also made a deal with Studio House for Queen of the Damned merch. Oh my god, this is so tacky. This is so tacky. It's like very retro style merch. Lestat Nakasha, all she wants is hell on earth, which was one of the taglines of Queen of the Damned. It's Queen of the Damned on front. Looks like a very retro band shirt. Believe it or not, this is a size small. And the Queen of the Damned hoodie, pocket hoodie. And on the back, we have Lestat Nakasha, Anne Rice's Queen of the Damned, Stuart Townsend, Aaliyah, a different poster version. Top, it says the mother of all vampires. They did have this design on a t-shirt as well, but I didn't get it because I got the other t-shirt and this was the sweatshirt. And then this shirt with that same logo on it, but in the opposite color scheme. The retro marbly tie-dye look. Oh my god, these are so tacky. There was one other thing I got from this collection, which was a stress ball, like a squeezy ball, that was in the shape of an anatomical heart, and it said Queen of the Damned on it, and it was right here. But now it's gone. Who could have taken it? Sometimes having minions is more trouble than it's worth. This is a really cool set of Dracula movie stickers that were sent to me by my Secret Santa this year. Thank you. We got Bela Lugosi Dracula. We got some Spanish and Italian Dracula films. We have Hammer posters. So all these Dracula movie posters, but from different countries with all the different foreign language titles. This is so cool. Are these all Seven Brothers Meet Dracula, Vampire, Blood of the Vampire, The Fearless Vampire Killers, Count Dracula and the Vampire Bride, Scream, Blackula Scream, The Mistresses of Dracula, Count Vorga, Sexy Lesbian Vampires. I know it's so shiny, it's so hard to see, but yes. Stickers! I love stickers. Back in the clothing arena, these aren't vampire, they're skulls, but you know how I feel about skulls. I got these pants at BJ's, which is like Costco or Sam's Club. And they are the most comfortable pants I have ever owned. And I wear them all day, every day. I live in these pants. I'm only not wearing them now so that I can show them to you. And they're sparkly. So this was sent to me some time ago, but I kept forgetting to show it to you because I was using it. I was always like in the washing machine or something. This is a mug with Gothic novels all around it. So we've got Frankenstein, Picture of Dorian Gray, The Raven and Other Poems, The Great God Pan, The House in the Borderland, The Haunting of Hill House, Dracula, At the Mountains of Madness, The Mysteries of Udolpho, The Invisible Man, The Phantom of the Opera is even on here, Melmoth the Wanderer, Strange Case of Jekyll and Hyde, The House of the Seven Gables, Wheelin, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, The Beetle, The Signal Man, The Turn of the Screw, The Old Nurse's Story, Rebecca, The Haunted Hotel, The Castle of Otranto, The Uninhabited House, Lot number 249, which is a Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Trial by Kafka, and The King in Yellow. This actually came at a very opportune time because I had another favorite mug, and I need big mugs like this. I need large mugs for my tea and my lattes, that had famous first lines of books written all over it that my brother had sent me years ago, and it got chipped. And you can't drink out of a chipped mug because mold and bacteria can grow in the chipped part that's not glazed over. Don't drink out of chipped mugs. You can use it to keep your pens in, but don't drink out of them. So I sadly lost my favorite book mug, and then all of a sudden I get this new book mug. Very happy. Speaking of mugs, these are my two Halloween mugs this year. So this one is a very pretty teacup type, but it has bat inside. And this one has the rib cage filled with flowers on a filigree damask embossed setting with red inside, and it says dead inside. So as you're drinking your coffee, you're just like, yes, I'm dead inside. Give me my coffee. Did I show you this last time? It was part of my Michael's Halloween stuff that I got. I think I missed it. It's the finest bat, cave aged. Only the finest in our recipes. It's not actually a usable bottle. I think the bat is glued down. Oh, it's a light. Can you see that? It has red LEDs inside and kind of like it's color changing. And it's like a foresty pattern, so it looks kind of like an old net in there. Oh, that's pretty. This coffin tray, also from Michael's for, serving hors d'oeuvres on or drinks. A coffin tray for all your coffin tray needs. You could keep your Funkos in it or something. Louis. Always falling over, Louis. That's right. There's nothing to be that sad about. Speaking of Funko Pops, this is the exclusive Elvira Entertainment Earth limited edition 40 years Elvira Funko Pop in neon colors. Look at her. She's holding the anatomical heart in her hand. Her dress is purple. This will go with my other Elvira Funkos, which I also have Elvira on her fainting couch. Teeny tiny Elvira from the Funko Pop Elvira cereal, which had black circles, kind of like Fruit Loops. Tasted kind of like Fruit Loops too, but it was black, so it dyed your milk green. An anniversary Elvira in the red sparkly dress, which is what this dress is the same. She's holding the heart. It's the same one, but in the different color scheme. Oh, thank you. I didn't even know this existed. Collection of Universal Monsters bookmarks for marking all my books. Here's Dracula. So we got Dracula Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein. I wonder if they're going to do a Phantom of the Opera one. Please let them do a Phantom of the Opera one. I need it. Got so many cool, like, little goodies. So while I was at the Anne Rice Vampire Lestat fan club ball this Halloween in New Orleans, they had an after party given by the Coven of the Articulate fan club organization. They gave out little goodie bags. And in the Dark Alliance Covenstead bag, there was this soap. It's like a green handmade soap. There were green M&Ms. Green was kind of the theme of the evening. The little letter they gave me with the wax seal. Such classy stuff. This little tiny potion bottle full of green crystals. I love a goodie bag. This was the bag it all came in. Oh, got the green paper. And there's a bunch of, like, business cards for local businesses and local artists in here. Some really cool stuff. Authors of vampire books, their book cards, so you can use a QR code and get their books. And while I was there, I gave my friends all those presents I made. Remember those little coffins and that coffin tray that I made when I was crafting that I showed you last time? So I gave them those gifts I made, and they give me gifts. So besides that sweatshirt, I also received a coffin-shaped flask, which is great because we needed to carry alcohol around a lot in New Orleans. This keychain of Louis Lestat and Claudia. I know it's hard to see, it's so small. Here they are just sort of snuggling, being very cute, sparkly. And on this side, it's the same thing, except they all got blood on their mouths, so they've been naughty. Vampires don't drool blood. You swallow it. Why is it all over your hands, too? Naughty. I love this keychain. You can find this, too, online somewhere. If not Etsy, somewhere. Just Google it. You'll find it. The Into the Night Bath & Body Works hand sanitizer. Smells much better than their vampire blood hand sanitizers. Like, I like that one in concept, vampire blood hand sanitizer, but I just don't like that, like, fruity berry smell. This is much nicer. This cute plastic bat tote. It's like a thing for taking your toiletries to the shower in when you live in a college dorm. Use it for anything. And some other things I got. Oh, this was from the Vampire Speakeasy in New Orleans. So if you go to the Vampire Boutique du Vampire, which is right by the Vampire Cafe, which is great, you should have lunch there. And if you ask for a special invitation passcode, they'll let you know how to get to the Vampire Speakeasy, which is called Potions. And once you say the password and show your invitation and pay the door price, then you're allowed up. And because it's called Potions, they have a signature drink that is a potion, and it comes in these kind of bottles. And I kept my bottle after I drank my potion. It was a very good alcoholic cocktail, like a kind of like a shot thing in this. It's delicious, and I just thought the bottle was so pretty. From the Vampire Speakeasy in New Orleans. I also have some other little things I've received. A Christmas ornament of Edgar Allan Poe. Thank you. A super cute Persephone pin from Lore Olympus. This is Underworld Queen Persephone, but in like a chibi style. Not to be confused with this Underworld Queen Persephone enamel pin that I already had. I'm getting kind of like a little collection of Lore Olympus enamel pins now. I've never really been a pin person, but I gotta find something put these on, like a display thing, so I can take them out of the plastic. I also have the Persephone and Hades set. These are ones that I bought some time ago. The Persephone and Hades hug one, and then the Persephone and Cerberus one. Cute doggy. So yeah, I'm up to 5 now. And then the classic Lore Olympus button. I love Lore Olympus. It's finally back from hiatus. We can read it again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is a Hades and Persephone webcomic, which is my favorite mythological origin story. It created the Death and the Maiden motif, which is the basis for every single thing that I like in the world. Dracula is a Death and the Maiden story. The Phantom of the Opera is a Death and the Maiden story. Anytime you have a dangerous, dark, sinister man with a pure, sweet girl, it is a Death and the Maiden story. Even like Twilight's a Death and the Maiden story. Edward is death, Bella is a maiden. So yeah, Death and the Maiden. It's good stuff. And there's a Death and the Maiden for everyone. Cute coffin earrings. They have little skulls on them. Red enamel coffin. I know you can't see these. They're so small, but they're so cute. And this coffin ring. Yes, I will. Wait, that's the wrong finger. There we go. Yes. You didn't know what you were getting into when you gave me this ring, did you? Lovely gifts from my lovely friends. And from you. Thank you to everyone who sent me books and games and movies and things to add to the Vampire Library, things that are now eligible for Vampire Book Club for us to read together. If you would like me to have something that you want to send me, P.O. Box is in the description. If you would like to suggest a book for Vampire Book Club, just put it in the comments. Comments help the algorithm. You can say, oh yeah, here, say what the favorite thing I showed you tonight was in the comments. Say which book or which thing you liked best And we'll see like which gets the most love. Will it be the romance book box? Will it be the Lestat custom handmade Funko? Will it be the little teeny tiny Phantom of the Opera all the way from China? Or one of the really cool books that I shared with you? It is the holiday season. Gift-giving holidays are upon us. If there are vampire things that you want for Christmas, add them to your wish list. I'm happy to share these with you. Oh, I make a list of all these things if they exist on Amazon. For you, it is also in the description of this video. Actually, I have 3 lists down there of all the things that I've shared. So you don't have to like take notes and search. Just go click those links. It helps me if you click those links and look through the list of the things that I listed here, and you can like write down the name and know what it was I was talking about, know where to look for it. I try to make vampires accessible to everybody. Also, tell me what you are reading lately. What vampire books are you reading if you're not in the book club, or even if you are and if you're reading a different vampire book? Put that in the comments because I want to know what everyone is reading right now, vampire-wise, or even if it's like gothic adjacent. Please tell me in the comments what you're reading. Ask me questions in the comments. I love answering questions if they're things I can answer. If I don't answer, it means I don't know how to answer. What else am I supposed to say? Like, comment, subscribe, so on. YouTube things! Thank you for joining me in the Vampire Library. I am the Maven of the Eventide, and I'll be seeing you soon on Discord. I'm probably going to turn off the camera right now and log right onto Discord and just be talking to you immediately. And you won't even know this until next week when this video comes out.